to the PACG Overwatch broadcast here at the Einar Nielsen Fieldhouse at the University of Utah campus. We just got done seeing some amazing games between the University of Colorado and the University of Oregon. What are your final thoughts on that, Zader?
Yeah, I had a really good time, especially casting those matches, watching those matches. I like I said before, Oregon doing a really, really good job holding against Colorado.
I completely agree with you. Colorado was definitely favored heading into the matchup. In spite of that, Oregon was able to do phenomenal things on Ilios and Kings Row specifically. They were able to take a map off of them on Ilios, and they were able to do a full cap on Kings Row Station. And then they kind of faltered a little bit in the overtime scenario. They only had 53 seconds in comparison to the 3 or 4 minutes that Colorado had, and that ended up ultimately being their downfall on that map.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Ninja. That Kings Row map was definitely something to see, and those overtime pushes were something that that was really, really fun to see.
Kings Row, I love it, but I can admit it's a pain. It's just, once your team starts falling apart and you just, no, Kings Row, it hurts so much. Those choke points are almost impossible to get through unless you have flawless team coordination. Oregon showing us that they have more than enough potential to be able to do that, especially against a team as good as Colorado. They took a clean 4-0, however, but I definitely would not count out Oregon. Once they get in a little bit more practice, they're going to be just as viable as any of the other teams. Looks like the matchup that we have scheduled next for you guys is going to be Stanford and UCLA.
Yeah, and Stanford versus UCLA, there's definitely a little bit of a rivalry there.
Yeah, both California teams. We don't have very much information on the players or where the standings are in regards to that, but let's go take a look at what roles are going to be played for each team, what their comps are usually.
Yeah, and here we see Raxa and Pip there for UCLA running on the running as assault players.
And Stanford, however, rather taking just Shimex, I think that's pronounced, as their damage for the main. Looks like they run double tank, double heal, and then a damage dealer and a flex. Interesting from Stanford.
Yeah, and it looks like as far as average SRs go, it looks like UCLA has a little bit higher of an average SR compared to Stanford. Stanford's a little bit lower, but it looks like it looks like as far as the rivalry goes, it could just be a school rivalry. Instead of a player rivalry.
I completely agree with you. It looks like Stanford University coming in with an average of 2,660. That's like high platinum about?
It's mid-plat.
Mid-platinum. A little bit, yeah, closer to 2,500. And then University of California, UCLA, 3,600. Jesus Christ. These guys are no joke. They've got a Grandmaster player, 4 top Master players. It looks like it's going to be Pip in Masters League, Sireku in Masters League, Tsang in Masters League, and Juggernaut in Masters League as well, with Raxa as the highest ranked player in this matchup in Grandmaster. Yeah,
and then, having a GM player is definitely something to be feared of, especially when he plays DPS. You see him a lot on McCree and a lot on Widowmaker, which is something scary. That aim is good.
Yeah, and it's an interesting concept that if you have a Grandmaster support or a Grandmaster tank, yeah, it's impactful. Like, they're good, they know what they're doing. But if you have a Grandmaster DPS, oh my God, like, you had better check yourself moving anywhere, especially if he plays Widowmaker. You can't step out into the light of day without his crosshairs being right on your head. I can almost guarantee that's what's going to be going down.
Yeah, so Raxa, definitely a player to be looking for here as we move on to this match here in just a minute. And here we see we're going to go look at Stanford. Actually, just at the maps here real quick. We're going to start off here with Kings Row again. We're going to see another Kings Row map. We're going to see how this one plays out in this show match. It's going to be definitely really interesting. Again, it's another one of those hybrid maps. Capture point at the first, payload, moving on.
Yeah, I definitely favor the hybrid maps in comparison to the just payload or the just capture points. However, Kings Row, as we saw from previously, it's pretty tough to break that first chokehold. In spite of that, University of California, UCLA rather, they have most of their good players, their highest tier players, on DPS. DPS is not as important when it comes to chokeholds. It's about the tanks and it's about the supports. DPSs are very important, but I think it's going to be on the backs of the tanks on the defense and the offense to make sure that these pushes and defenses are going according to plan, Zader.
All right, you know, I definitely agree with you there, Ninja. It's going to be something to see as far as these tanks go. Like you said, those tanks really have to show their colors. They really need to do everything that they can to kind of hold those chokes and do everything that they can to make sure that their shields don't die and that their DPS in the back line can have a good amount of damage there on those shields.
And here we go, moving in here right away. First point on Kings Row, UCLA and Stanford University. Looks like we're going to have a quick map overview. Fantastic statue of, what was his name? Starts with an M?
Oh, clueless on that one.
It was like Zenyatta's master or something. I don't want to say his dad. Olmecs don't really have dads.
All I know is that Widowmaker shot him in the face.
Yeah, Widowmaker shot him in the face. Tracer tried. That all happened here on Kings Row. I'll think of his name later on, and I'll just be like in the middle match. I'll just shout it. So maybe cover your ears a little bit.
And here we go. We're going to go ahead, start assembling all the heroes here for this first round of Kings Row. It's definitely going to be something really interesting to see. Here we see UCLA starting on the defense.
UCLA taking DPS as Soldier 76 and Roadhog. I love those picks. And favoring Roadhog and Reinhardt over an Orisa anywhere in their composition. Stanford on the opposition running Zenyatta on offense and Moira. I love that pick so much.
Yeah, and you know it's definitely something to see that Moira. We didn't see too much Moira there on our first match that we had today. You know, we only saw it there just a little bit on the first point. On the first map. However, now we're going to see it a lot more as a little bit higher level of play here comes out from Stanford and UCLA. It looks like we're going to have 10 seconds until we start seeing some action.
And I called that was going to happen. Here we see Raxa on Widowmaker on offense for UCLA. Look out for him to do a fantastic job on those headshots, getting right into the point, and they know it. They're shooting right up there, waiting for that Widowmaker to pop her head out.
Yeah, they know that something's up there. Atlas here sitting in the corner. He's probably going to look for a really good hook here. See that fire strike coming out. Not really hitting anybody.
Looks like he's going to be holding onto his hook, and he's found out by UCLA. Tsang getting dangerously low, however, but healed up. Not a lot of damage going back and forth. They're just kind of poking, seeing where the... Ooh, Raxa with a clean headshot onto Shimex.
Actually, Pip taking out... actually, Raxa getting a clean body shot, and then Pip taking out the rest of the damage there. Raxa doing a really good job, dealing a lot of damage to that Lucio, keeping him on his feet.
Looks like UCLA is doing a fantastic job of moving in here. Almost a clean sweep. Looks like Shimex on Tracer. He was Soldier 76 before he died and switched off onto Tracer. A team kill in the first 45 seconds for UCLA. Man, are these guys a force to be reckoned with.
UCLA taking that chokehold and, you know, making it really not a chokehold there. They just kind of pushed right through it. Here we see Raxa kind of backing off, getting a little bit too far up.
Extension. Yeah, I agree with you. Stanford looking like they're switching up the composition a little bit, not taking Soldier 76. Too much of a fat target for Raxa to hit. Shimex on Tracer, hopefully a little better.
Yeah, and there we see Atlas on Roadhog really just looking for some key hooks, not really able to find anything there. You know, he's trying to get those hooks, but it's unfortunately not really working out for him around that corner.
Here we have AXD6 on Junkrat doing a great job of taking out Reinhardt's shield right there. Getting chased down by a Moira ball. Looks like Shimex is hiding with 2 HP. He's getting hunted down. On the back of that Zarya, looks like we have that sound wave.
And he's actually going to get hit from the Reinhardt shatter. He's going to be able to recall that, though, as well. And it looks like, you know, UCLA is going to be able to clean house again on Stanford.
He's uncontested in the backline. However, it doesn't seem to be enough. They just don't care. They take out the entire front line of Stanford. Shimex was in the backline the entire time. Zenyatta pops his Transcendence, and they just walk with the payload. Flawless team play from UCLA.
Yeah, you know, UCLA doing a very, very good job, you know, pushing this payload. Really, they haven't been really stopped here, except for just around that corner when Stanford was holding a little bit. AXD getting really, really low on that Junkrat.
Yeah, a little bit of an overextension, but like I said previously, it's going to be on the tanks, and here we see Sireku and Juggernaut both on fire. Juggernaut doing a great job of taking out Prodigal Son's Reinhardt.
Hey, you know, and then we see Juggernaut really far in the back line of Stanford right now, just kind of swinging his hammer, going a lot. Raxa getting 2 very clean headshots there.
Raxa. Oh my God! No mercy! Oh Jesus, Raxa, stop! Stop! Leave him alone. Let him regroup, buddy.
Yeah, you know, Raxa is just doing a really, really good job making everybody start to be stragglers.
Yeah, they're having to stream in. They don't really have a choice. Looks like it's going to be a clean push from UCLA. I don't see Stanford able to stop this. Pip is on fire. The whole team's on fire for that matter. Shimex, however, trying to do the best he can on Pip. It's just not enough.
And here we see UCLA, great performance. Here we see that coalescence, not really showing up, but still coming out.
3 people down for Stanford. Looks like they're just camping. They're just, I mean, what more can I say? You can see it all for yourself. Raxa doing a fantastic job.
Oh.
Jesus Christ, 2. Are we gonna get 3? Yeah, that counts. 3. 3 clean kills back to back for Raxa. A flawless push for UCLA. I think 2 minutes of gameplay rather, just a clean sweep.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, UCLA and that Raxa, like we said, Rax is definitely a player to be looking for, and he showed it.
He's Grandmaster for a reason. He's proving that today. Like it was a spectacle to watch. 4 clean headshots on the first point at least. 3 back-to-back kills, 4 back-to-back kills on the second point right there on Kings Row. They were genuinely unstoppable. Flawless team coordination, flawless team composition, great players all around. Now, let's talk about their opposition a little bit, Zader.
Yeah, you know, Stanford, you know, actually really did a good job as far as the defense went, you know, there as first. But, you know, that Roadhog sitting in the hotel trying to get a pick probably wasn't the right position for him to be in, because as soon as they pushed around that corner, the Roadhog did have to come all the way around. Would have liked to see him kind of most likely be in a better position there. And hopefully we'll see, you know, something here from Stanford here on the attack as we move into this next round.
Here we are going to be jumping in onto the return push for Stanford. Let's see if they're going to be capable of pushing it equally as well as UCLA did. Both teams running Moira, Stanford electing to take Reaper on AXD6, and Shimex on Widowmaker. Let's see if he's going to have as much luck as Raxa did in the previous matchup.
Not 100% sure if the Hanzo's a troll or if they're going to actually run 3 DPS here on this push from Stanford.
Maybe I'm just out of the loop, but Hanzo's been played 3 times on offense on this map. Maybe we're just missing something and he's actually good? I mean, I don't want to say that. That's a little bit bold that Hanzo's like viable or something like that. But I mean, by the looks of things, they're actually going to run it.
They're going to run a triple DPS here from Stanford. It's going to be really interesting. Having that Reinhardt as the solo shield is going to be really hard to...
Oh my God!
Shimex.
Jesus Christ.
He found that Mercy, and now the Mercy does not exist.
Yeah, just that... Ella... Whatever you how you pronounce that for UCLA, the Mercy player, he's not very happy with himself right there. Shimex seems to be popping off on the back line of UCLA. Oh my God, another clean headshot on Sang's Moira.
That's both supports down there for UCLA. It looks like Stanford's actually going to be able to get a really good push here. Raxa here on the back line as McCree able to take out Atlas. Pip taking out, oh my God, Raxa is cleaning house here. He's able to find that Widowmaker. Looks like they're going to have a little bit of battle. The Raxa is going to take everything out. Raxa coming in on the back line, flanking, and that was it.
Bobbin and Weavin Raxa has UCLA on his back this game. He just got 5 consecutive kills and completely stopped Stanford's push in spite of them doing such a great job initially moving onto the point. Here we have Pip on Junkrat getting his ultimate ready. That's going to halter Stanford even further. Yeah,
you know, Stanford running that triple DPS is definitely a really interesting decision. That Reinhardt is just not able to tank enough damage. You know, here we see Shimex taking out both supports, but they just don't have enough to be able to push in. Raxa taking out Reaper. They're going to be 1 down on Stanford's push. It looks like they're going to have to wait just a small
High Noon coming out here for Raxa. Not seeming to get any kills. The Reinhardt shield from Prodigal Son is enough. However, he ties up Moira in the background and eliminates her with a clean body shot.
Shimex is actually able to take out the Mercy once more. Looks like you know, UCLA is taking out that Mercy you know, quite a bit.
I completely agree with you there. An amazing headshot coming out there from Shimex, eliminating that Mercy. He's not letting her have any fun this game. Pip still holds onto his Junkrat ultimate.
Yeah, you know, Pip is going to hold that Junkrat ultimate. He's definitely going to wait for them to group up. They're going to push into that hotel, and here we see Pip most likely going to pop that tire here in just a second. Here we see that tire coming out now, and here we see Pip getting 2 picks there on both of the supports there of Stanford, and here we see UCLA doing a very, very good job at you know, still just holding Stanford off.
I completely agree with you. UCLA is doing just flawless work almost on the back of Raxa and Sireku on Zarya. He's doing a fantastic job of mitigating a majority of that damage. That being said, Stanford on Shimex, he's doing awesome work getting headshots on Mercy left and right. It's just not enough. The rest of the team cannot capitalize on the opportunities that he's giving them. Here we have a little bit of a Reinhardt battle back and forth. However, Juggernaut does have that Zarya ulti. Tactical Visor coming out here for Atlas, coupled with the hammer down. I don't think it's going to be enough. However, Prodigal Son does get 2 clean kills on UCLA.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Stanford coming out with a brilliant push here on UCLA. They're actually going to be able to take this point. LT Sox actually is able to get a res off on that as Mercy onto Raxa. Raxa, trying to get in the back line, trying to, get a little bit better position to hopefully clean house, but unfortunately they're not going to be able to do much. They're doing a really good job here at contesting, though. UCLA is on the defense, but it looks like they're actually going to have to lose that point and back off to regroup.
After all of that defending from UCLA, Shimex is able to come in here and do clean headshots, one after the other onto UCLA's backline, not focusing on the tanks, which is good. He's dropping supports left and right. He's dropping DPS players left and right. Raxa doing a great job of trying to carry his team, but it just wasn't enough for that first point.
And here we see Stanford running now 2 tanks. Here when the payload starts pushing, we see that Roadhog coming back out with Stanford, and hopefully they're going to be able to, hold a little bit better as far as these pushes go. Here we see Quirky here with the beat, and here we see a Junkrat Tower come out from Pip. He's going to try to hide it, come around the corner.
Junkrat Tower's a little hidden, however, immediately picks off Moira. A great pick from Pip right there. Raxa also taking out AXD6 with a clean headshot. Shemex seems to survive in the backline, but that did halter the push from Stanford.
Yeah, Raxa doing an absolute brilliant job in this McCree right now, and Shimex doing an absolutely brilliant job as Widowmaker. The two are having kind of a show-off.
They're a little bit of back and forth. I'm not sure which one's actually outperforming the other. I think I would give it to Shimex on the little bit. That being said, Raxa did have those 5 kills earlier on, and he does have his high noon ultimate right now.
Yeah, and here we see Atlas actually switching off that Roadhog onto Zarya now. Shimex getting taken out from Pip, throwing a pancake.
Pip throwing a pancake, doing some awesome damage. However, here we see Tracer in the backline, that high noon being popped from Raxa. Let's see if he can get any kills with it. He's trying to walk around the side. Not enough.
Slow high noon walk.
Great job from Stanford to mitigate that damage. Ooh, clean.
Max D6, not really having a good day as Tracer. McCree, flashbang, headshot.
Tracer does not do too well against McCree, let me tell you that much. It's possible, but it's not a favorable matchup that you want to be taking. You want to be focusing those supports. Sureku holding his Graviton Surge. That's also going to stop Stanford from pushing.
Yeah, it looks like Graviton Surge is up for both teams. UCLA having a little bit more ults than Stanford here at the moment. Atlas does not have his Graviton Surge yet. Here we see a huge battle. Coalescence coming in onto that Graviton Surge. Both Coalescence coming out. Looks like it's going to be it's almost Dragon Ball Z.
I'm firing my laser. Juggernaut diving into the backline. Stanford having both of their supports and their DPS getting immediately cleaned up. Sang, however, is able to take out Shimex as well. The supports for UCLA are doing damage. The DPS players for UCLA are doing damage. The tanks for UCLA are doing damage. Stanford does not have an answer.
Yeah, and Seth, I agree with you on that one. Stanford is doing their best. They definitely had an answer earlier on in the game with Shimex on that Widowmaker. Ooh,
clean.
Speaking of Shimex on the Widowmaker having answers.
Get out of here, Pip. Don't you overextend on me.
Oh,
AXD6 trying to make something happen with his pulse bomb, trying to get a good look. Not enough. Zarya's shield saves his life.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's going to have to recall on that one. It looks like he's going to come around with that pulse bomb. Let's see what he's able to do with this. If he gets a stick on the support, it's going to be absolutely huge. Looks like he's going to whiff the stick, and no one's going to get hit with that pulse bomb.
He fluffs it. 12 seconds left for Stanford moving in here. They do retain the hammer down. It's going out right now. A fantastic 6-man hit.
Huge shatter there from Prodigal Allison. Raxa coming out with the McCree. McCree is able to get actually just one pick. Unfortunately, everyone else is going to get taken out. Sireku still holding the point. Juggernaut still on the point as Reinhardt. Sireku coming out with the Graviton Surge. Reinhardt's going to have a heyday throwing his hammer out. Sireku getting 2 picks with that Graviton Surge coming out. And it looks like they are going to be able to hold that point. Tracer's going to be a little bit of a pest, trying to hold this overtime as much as possible. And Juggernaut says, yeah, no, don't do that. Solo shatter onto that Tracer, taking him out, making sure that she cannot be a pest. It looks like Juggernaut's going to get the charge there on Prodigal Allison.
Shimex doing his best to take out the supports. It just is a little too late. They tried their best to hold the point. That shatter down Earth Shatter rather, from Prodigal Sun hit a vast majority of UCLA's team. Here we see Sureku with play of the game, not the Shatter down. That's interesting, I think.
And here we see it's probably going to be this initial push. Actually, yeah, it looks like, you know, Sureku doing a really good job, laying out a lot of damage, staying at a 100% charge.
100% charged Zarya is a force to be reckoned with. Now we understand why that first push happened so quickly. They shot Zarya's shield. That's exactly why it happened so quickly.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you just don't charge that Zarya shield. You know, Pip being on Junkrat, free charge on a Zarya shield. You know, you just sit there and eat the bombs. That's all you got to do, and that's 40 charge, and have someone else, have your Reinhardt go and sit in front of a shield, and that's another 40 charge, and you have 80.
I love how that interaction plays out. They buffed Junkrat so much, they made him incredibly viable with the double pancake bombs, and because of that, we saw a resurgence of Zarya. Zarya drastically came back into the meta. She couples so well with her Graviton Surge. She works with Tracer Bombs, and especially with Moira. Her Convergence ultimate, not only does it heal, but
it's Coalescence.
It's Convergence, I think. We'll debate that later. Anyways, it does really, really well coupled with Moira ultimates. Considering the fact that it heals and damages at the same time, not only is she capable of putting massive amounts of damage on the front lines with the Graviton Surge, but it also hinders her team from perishing when they try and capitalize on it.
I definitely agree with you there, and the Reinhardt Zarya pick is also something that I love seeing, because as soon as that Graviton Surge comes out, Reinhardt can just swing his hammer and get a massive amount of damage off of that whole Graviton Surge. I mean, he can swing on everybody that's in there. He get his ult charge so fast, and as soon as they're out of that Graviton Surge, anybody that's living, most likely going to get an Earth Shatter.
Yeah, I agree with you. The composition that Stanford was running, I really, really enjoyed. They had the Earth Shatter from the Reinhardt, and they had the Graviton Surge from the Zarya. That immense amount of crowd control effects from their two beefy frontline tanks that basically says to the enemy team, hey, you have to give us space and you have to spread out and not group up too close together, otherwise we're going to make you suffer for it. And then they coupled that with a Tracer. Tracer, she fluffed her ultimate when Zarya had Graviton Surge near charge. Had Tracer held onto her Pulse Bomb, waited for Zarya to use her Graviton Surge, jumping around the back, and then drop the Pulse Bomb, that would have been a team kill for Stanford.
And let's go ahead and talk about the two highlight DPS players of this team, Shimix for Stanford and Raxa for UCLA. Absolutely showing their colors, doing everything that they can to make sure that they are a feared player.
Shimix came out on that Widowmaker and he said, hey Raxa, you're not the only one that can get headshots in that games. However, Raxa countered and he got 5 amazing headshots on the first defense when it was Stanford trying to push. He stopped that first push. He didn't let anything happen and it was completely on his back. He had 5 headshot kills. Fantastic to see. Which one of the two do you think was better, probably?
You know, I'm definitely going to say that Raxa had a lot better of a performance, you know, switching off of the Widowmaker there when they were playing defense and playing that McCree instead, and actually playing the McCree for the rest of the match after that as well. And that McCree was phenomenal. I mean, he was hitting everything his shots. He got his flanks down so well. He was able to stay alive. He was able to pick off the Tracer when Tracer got in the back line. He did everything that he needed to do. I'm going to give a lot of props to Raxa.
I completely agree, especially since the choice that he was on was McCree. McCree's a little bit out of meta. He's not unviable. I'm not going to say that. McCree's really good. But with the way Tracer and Genji in the state of the game, he's kind of fallen off a little bit. So interesting to see him being played so effectively. We are actually going to move right on to our next matchup between UCLA and Stanford on Temple of Anubis.
You know, Temple of Anubis is really an interesting map. And like I've said before, definitely not one of my favorite maps to play. You just need so much coordination and everything that everything that Temple of Anubis requires is a lot, and you know it's definitely going to be interesting to see exactly what they run here. You know, I'm most likely expecting the Widowmakers to come back out here from either Raxa or Shimix.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's such amazing line of sights that you can have on this map. Raxa, I'm going to look to you on the Widowmaker. He's going to be getting headshots left and right, almost uncontested, especially if they're on defense, because he can just sit up there on that high ground and just fire away.
I will definitely agree with you on that one. It's going to be really interesting to see what they choose to counter Raxa on the Widowmaker here. You know, if they either choose a Winston or they choose a full dive comp to just get on that Widowmaker and take care of her as soon as possible.
Tracer usually does a pretty good job. However, Widowmaker has such good high ground opportunities on Temple of Anubis that it kind of makes Tracer irrelevant. She cannot physically get up to where Widowmaker is. Here we can see some of these choke points that we were highlighting earlier. Here we have the choke point leading into the second point, followed by that hallway right there. It's definitely favors Widowmaker play.
Yeah, and there we see the two arches there that Widowmaker can stand on, and then you see that just back there, right next to the point, the Widowmaker is most likely going to be standing on as well. And here we go. It's going to go ahead and get right into the action. Raxa actually going to start off on Widowmaker. This is going to be absolutely brilliant to see what he can do with this Widowmaker right now.
As a shield, though, great pick from Stanford to take the Orza to try and counter that. Awesome job. Looks like UCLA is going to be on offense. He's getting tied up a little bit by Shimix on Tracer in the backline. Choosing to take that high ground, putting good damage onto Orza. A clean headshot from Raxa.
Yeah, Raxa, you know, on this Widowmaker, I told you, someone's going to run Widowmaker here, and if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Raxa. Juggernaut getting a pick on Atlas. Stanford defense is not holding up quite well here. AXD is actually able to take out Pip, but Raxa is going to answer that.
Some good back and forth here between both teams. Shimix remaining alive and immediately picked off by Sireku. Made me speak too quickly. UCLA, taking 3 members down for Stanford with another falling shortly. Looks like they're going to do a clean hold of the first point for UCLA.
Yeah, and here they're going to go ahead and start setting up for that push again. Here we see Winston, you know, coming up to try to see if he can contest the point a little bit. Definitely not a really good choice there from Atlas. Definitely would have liked him to see back here on this point. You know, UCLA is going to have an advantage on this push if Winston doesn't come up in time. Stanford
overextending a little bit right there. They were trading back and forth on the first point, which definitely favors the offense. Here we have Siriku actually on Zarya taking out Shimix.
And here we see Shimix on the Sombra here on the second point. Sombra on the second point is absolutely brilliant. Getting all those health path tactics, absolutely critical. Raxa here looking for picks.
Raxa looking for the Zenyatta, like you were saying, actually not doing too good of a job. Juggernaut popping off with that whole hog ultimate, taking out 2 members of Stanford's defense. 4 members are down. I don't think they're going to be able to stop UCLA's push. Stanford's defense is definitely faltering here. He's looking for that Riptire. Raxa is going to find that Riptire and take it out. Unfortunately, AXD is not going to be able to get anything off of that Riptire. Reinhardt diving in onto the point. It's contested right now. Raxa doing his best. Jeez Louise. 3 clean picks. Back to the other. Light Sox popping that Transcendence ultimate and another clean push within the first minute and a half of play from UCLA. They are almost unstoppable. I am absolutely blown away at UCLA's push there on Temple of Anubis. I'm sorry, I forgot the map there for a second. The one we all hate.
Yeah, I hate it so much I don't even remember the name. But UCLA's performance on that push was phenomenal. They did not falter a single bit. Raxa staying alive the entire game. Flawless. Getting headshots, getting picks, everything. The way that they do they had that back and forth going on a little bit at the start of the game. They had the offense and the defense trading kills one with another. That heavily favors the offense. On Temple of Anubis, you spawn so far away from that first point. If you die, it's probably a good 15-20 seconds before you can walk back to that point. However, if an offensive character dies, 5 seconds with Tracer Blinks to get right back into the fray. That walk is just something that you do not want to suffer, and as soon as one pick goes through, I mean, and we saw from UCLA, they got one pick, pushed, and they pushed through all the way. And then Winston, unfortunately, making a big mistake of pushing in and trying to hold that point for as long as possible, and he got killed, and it gave UCLA the advantage once more to push in on the second point immediately. I completely agree. UCLA, knowing perfectly how to capitalize on the picks that Raxa gives them on Widowmaker. They see the opportunities that they have, and they capitalize on it. So hats off to UCLA. Yeah. And, and we're going to go ahead and get started on to the second match here. In just a second, we're going to see UCLA on the defense and Stanford there on the offense. And it'll definitely be interesting to see what Raxa is able to pull here as Widowmaker again, because we're most likely going to see Raxa on Widowmaker. And, of course, we do once more. Raxa is still on that Widowmaker. And here we see Shimix actually pulling out the Widowmaker on offense. Let's see what they will be able to do. Shimix hopefully going to be able to get a pick on Raxa immediately. Shimix versus Raxa. Let's see who is the primary. However, Stanford immediately taking that left flank, a great job by them, and they seize the high ground. Not a convincing look from UCLA immediately. UCLA actually holding a lot higher ground. Orisa able to get all the way up on that point. UCLA is actually doing a really good job at holding all of this point. Rax is going to go ahead and try to take care of that Winston. It looks like he's not going to find a pick, but now he's just looking for everybody within the back line. AXD going to sit in the back line, kind of be a pest.
AXD6 doing his best, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He is isolated on the point. It's only a matter of time before they finally catch down that slippery tracer and take her out.
AXD actually doing a...
there we go.
Oh, what? A May?
A May pick from UCLA on defense. I like it. I like it a lot.
As much as I hate May, I love seeing it. And Raxa is still getting clean headshots. Ooh. Doesn't even let me speak.
Raxa, you make me tingle. That was clean. Oh, nice work from UCLA. They looked a little shaky on the first point right there. Raxa definitely rallying the team together and saying we will not fall down this easily.
Ooh, Shimix getting a good body shot there on Raxa, and Raxa unfortunately not able to really get anything. Shimix is really looking for Raxa. He wants to take him out because he knows Raxa is a big problem. XD getting picked off again by Pip.
The supports from UCLA are doing a surprisingly good job. Coupled with their tanks, they have amazing synergy, and they are able to handle these tracers, and looks like Reaper as well for Stanford.
Yeah, and it's definitely interesting to see that Reaper, because Reaper has a really hard time actually pushing in that choke without his team. He's got to have a full team going through. He's got to make sure that he sticks with his tanks to make sure he does not get picked off. And like I said, if he doesn't stick with his team, he's just going to die.
You called it, Sater. You called it. Reaper a little bit out of position. Shimix, however, able to counter with a headshot on Sing. Nothing you can do about that on May. I love the pick, but I don't think she's as relevant as she could be on this first point. However, they are still holding the high ground.
And May is going to come back with her ult. Raxa getting picks on Atlas. Looking for that Reaper, looking for Shimix. Shimix looking for a shot here. Shimix getting really, really low. Oh, looks like he's going to be about 2 HP. Raxa getting some clean headshots here. Shimix hiding behind that pillar. He doesn't want to go anywhere.
I don't think he knew he was behind that either. He was just kind of looking for it. Prodigal Son actually trying to seize this left side of the map with Stanford, trying to push up here onto the high ground. I think they might be able to do it. That Orza shield is falling dangerously low. May ultimate popping out from Sang.
Oh, Sang actually throwing out a brilliant May ultimate there. He knew that they were going to go in that corner, and Sang said, no, that is my room. Have some ice.
May, one of my favorite people to play. I know that makes me like Satan incarnate to be a May player. Tracer and May, that's it, but May on this point is phenomenal, and I absolutely agree with her pick.
And here we see UCLA coming in with 3 ultimates to go. Only Orisa and May using their ultimates on that push, and that is all that they needed. And here we see everyone staying behind that Ryan shield, not wanting to get picked off. Unfortunately, he's able to get a headshot there onto Winston.
Juggernaut actually taking out Ace of Fast, the Moira player, and Sang doing another clean damage output onto Stanford's front line. UCLA doing a phenomenal job of holding, however, they are getting backdoored.
Yeah, and here we see Orisa trying to take care of that back door from Atlas. Atlas really is doing a good job staying on the point, you know, trying to split the team up, but, you know, unfortunately Stanford did not have enough players up to handle a split push like that. AXD coming in with the Reaper ult, hopefully able to find something in this next 30 seconds. It looks like it's going to be the last and final push.
He's in a good position with that Reaper ultimate. Let's see if he's going to be capable of utilizing it to its full potential. We've only got 20 seconds left. Shimix holding his ulti. 4 ults for Stanford. They have to make something happen. Hammer down, dropping down right now, coupled with that Reaper ultimate, however, countered with the sound barrier.
Oh, unfortunately, he wasn't able to find any picks there. Yeah, that Lucio ultimate, like you said, able to really just suck up all of that damage from that Reaper ultimate, and Orisa's unstoppable force on blocking all of that damage as well, and it looks like Stanford unfortunately will not be able to push anything on UCLA.
UCLA, Pip, my man. Earthshatter coupled with a Reaper ultimate, a Death Blossom, that got 0 kills. I don't think I've ever seen that happen in my life.
And here we see, most likely, Sang's brilliant mail in this room, freezing everybody. Nobody's able to escape except for Reaper because, you know, Reaper is not human and Reaper doesn't like the cold.
I don't maybe he doesn't feel the cold. He might enjoy it a little bit. I don't know. May, my goodness, fantastic pick from UCLA. I totally love it. She does such a good job when she pops up her ice wall that removes some of the flanking opportunities. Mostly what people do is they seize that high ground where some of those fruit stands are. They try and get some of their fruit up there on the high ground, and they just hold it for as long as they possibly can. The way that teams counter that is they'll move into that left room and then fight right there with their Junkrats and stuff like that, because the AoE is much easier. If you pop a May wall right there, they don't have that entry, and so then it forces them to go into Raxa's Widowmaker sites.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Sang and Pip, actually. Sang on that May and Pip on that Lucio, actually really saving the end of that game. Sang, you know, coming in with that May pick, definitely kind of an odd pick, and might have thrown off Stanford, you know, a little bit, seeing that, you know, May's just not something that you'll really generally see. And Pip coming at the end of the game with the beat drop and, you know, protecting his entire team from the Earth Shatter and from the Reaper ultimate.
I totally agree with you, Zader. I think that Pip's ulti with the sound barrier right there should have been play of the game. He countered 2 ultimates. He countered the Earth Shatter and he countered the Death Blossom from Reaper and Reinhardt respectively. Had they not had Lucio's sound barrier right there, that would have been a team kill and a first point hold by Stanford.
Yeah, and you know, Stanford definitely had a lot of good pushes there on UCLA. They tried their best. They did everything they could, but that May just really blocked them off from pushing in that left room. And no matter how many times they tried to push into that left room, they really weren't able to do it. And Raxa, unfortunately, really, not unfortunately, but Raxa doing a really good job at making sure that Stanford couldn't really push any farther. And honestly, I don't have any problems with Raxa. Raxa's doing everything that he needs to be doing.
I think a couple of times he overextends maybe just a little bit, but that's the only criticism that I could possibly give him. The reason why I think he can do it is because he knows that he has faith in his tanks and he has faith in his supports to back him, bail him out if he needs it. That comes through hours and hours of team communication. UCLA probably has hundreds of hours backed up into their Overwatch team. I am definitely impressed. On the offhand, though, Stanford as well doing a phenomenal job with their team compositions. It just seems they're getting slightly outperformed.
Yeah, just a little bit outperformed there by UCLA from Stanford. And Stanford actually is doing a really, really good job at doing everything they can. You know, just knowing that Raxa is doing so well, you know, they need to hopefully focus on Raxa here in this next game, as they haven't really been putting as much effort into it, except for Shimix. And you know, and Shimix is doing a really, really good job at, you know, contesting Raxa as much as he can.
I agree. Hats off to Shimix right there. His Widowmaker, his offensive players, his Tracer, he is doing his best to try and mess up UCLA. It doesn't seem to be enough, though. His team, especially Prodigal Sun and Quarky, I think Quarky's the support player. Prodigal Sun was on the Reinhardt. Prodigal Sun has been landing fantastic Earth Shatter after Earth Shatter. It's just that UCLA seems to be prepared for it. When he lands the Earth Shatter, they always have something to counter, whether it be a Transcendence or a Graviton Surge from their own Zarya. I just think that UCLA has the upper hand, and we are going to head right into our next matchup on Lijiang Tower.
And we're going to go ahead and look at these map standings here real quick, just before we switch over to Lijiang Tower. And as we can see here, hopefully it'll come up here just a moment. We'll see that, so the map overview for Lijiang Tower here coming up soon. Kings Row, UCLA 3, Stanford 1, Temple of Anubis, UCLA 2, Stanford 0.
All right, let's get that look at what Lijiang Tower is going to be presenting for you guys.
So about Lijiang Tower, actually, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be the first King of the Hill map, or control point map, whatever you'd like to call it, that we're going to go ahead and see here today. Lijiang Tower is definitely one of those that is very closed off. All of those points are, you know, really, really actually small rooms, unless it's the, oh man, I can't remember exactly which one, but it's a big open area there on Lijiang Tower.
I think it's Night Garden, the one where it goes into the points, and there's kind of that vast amounts of dead zone off there that really favors Pharah and Mercy play. I definitely am looking forward to seeing a Pharmacy comp out of probably UCLA. I don't think Raxa is going to be playing the Pharah. I don't think that was on one of his pick lists, but I definitely would like to see Pharmacy coming out of either team. That composition is incredibly powerful on all 3 maps on Lijiang Tower.
I really do think that our Pharmacy pick is a good is a good pick there, Ninja. I agree with you on that one for sure. We'll have to see exactly what they choose to do here. As far as Lijiang Tower goes, you can see a lot of actually different compositions here. You can see, triple tank compositions, quad tank compositions here, even if, in this new meta, because Lucio and Moira healing is insane. Or you can see the Fire Mercy compositions, or you can see the full dive compositions. there's so much variety that you can see on this map. It's going to be something really exciting to see.
The one character I am definitely looking forward to see, though, Zader, is Lucio. He is so prevalent on this map, as you're going to be able to see heading in here. There's a lot of dead zone that Lucio can take effect and boot people off into their grave. He had such an tight corridors that, however, that it completely maximizes his healing. Everyone's going to be in that circle almost 100% of that time. As you can see, there's the corridors in there that leads into the point. It's such an enclosed space that leads out into dead zone. Look for Lucio to be the pick of the day.
And here we see both teams coming out, rolling out. Here we see UCLA running more of a little bit of a weird composition here. Raxa on that Hanzo. Hopefully he's going to have just as good aim.
Pip doing a fantastic job of taking out AXT6. Raxa on Hanzo immediately sniping out Lucio. A fantastic show from UCLA leading here into the start of this game. Juggernaut also taking out Shimex. 3 characters down for Stanford.
Yeah, it looks like Stanford's really having a hard time here getting on the point. Atlas running that Mei now. It looks like Stanford's trying to answer with that Mei. I'm not 100% sure what they're going to be able to do here. AXT6 actually is not just going to get on the point. It's looking like they're going to ask for a regroup.
I completely agree with you. Near flawless opening here from UCLA. With the Hanzo pick, I find that incredibly interesting. Hanzo, a little bit out of meta, however, he's still viable.
Yeah, and you know that Hanzo is actually really fun to see. He's doing such a good job at it. And Raxa has such good aim. Shimex on that Widowmaker, getting taken out by Pip.
Widowmaker a bit too much of a long-distance character for this up-close of a map. Looks like UCLA is popping that Dragon Blade right now, diving in on top of the Lucio. Lucio trying his best to escape. Corky going down immediately, as well as Prodigal Son. He's going to the back on Moira. Moira barely able to escape. Pip taking down to 50% of his HP.
Unfortunately, that Dragon Blade ended just a second before he could get that last blade off, and Moira was able to deal enough damage onto him to make Pip back off just a little bit. And looks like Stanford is going to have to regroup here for another push. And here we see that Lucio standing on that bridge, hopefully looking for boobs. Raxa actually throwing out that the
Dragon Ultimate.
The Dragon Ultimate here, taking out one person there from Stanford, and here we see UCLA again taking out the entire team of Stanford, and Stanford is going to have to regroup again. Raxa getting 3 picks on that fight.
A clean sweep from UCLA. Shimex, he scared me a little bit. He blinked backwards over the bridge right there and tried to get it to the point. I almost thought he went into the drink right there, but looks like Stanford's going to have maybe 1 or 2 more pushes coming out. 80% left for UCLA before it's 100-0.
Yeah, and here we see Pip doing a really good job there on that Genji. You know, we see him on Lucio, we see him on Genji, we see him on a variety of things. Shimex running on that Tracer, getting very in the back lane. It looks like Stanford here is going to have their last push. Unfortunately, Prodigal Sun is not going to be able to get into the point.
Transcendence coming out there from Little Socks. Juggernaut knocking people off of the point with his whole hog ultimate. Great work coming out from there. Shimex getting sucked in with that Graviton Surge and immediately taken out by Juggernaut with a clean body shot. It was a convincing look from Stanford, just wasn't enough.
Yeah, UCLA doing a really, really good job at holding that point, not only capturing it first, but you know, doing a really good job at just holding it and keeping Stanford away from the point every single time they tried to push. We saw 1 pick every single time they came out of that choke, whether it be Prodigal Sun or the Tracer or, you know, the Moira. Someone was getting picked off every time Stanford tried to push. And Raxa on the Hanzo throwing out the ultimate, throwing out random arrows, just getting picks. Doing what Raxa does, apparently.
I agree with you. The Hanzo pick on Raxa is definitely the most interesting component of that team comp. However, it worked out flawlessly. Stanford was trying to run a flanker composition. Hanzo does really, really well against flankers with that scatter arrow. And here we see he's going to retain the Hanzo pick, moving on to Lijiang Night Garden.
And as we see Night Garden, it looks like this is a little bit more of an open map, so it'll be really interesting to see exactly what they run here. Raxa still on that Hanzo. It looks like Sang is going to be able to get taken out immediately by Prodigal Sun.
Both teams trying to seize that middle ground. Atlas, however, is on this Mercy, diving into the backline, trying to take out the Zenyatta. It seems that he's getting away, and then he comes right back in. UCLA actually getting taken out by Shimex and AXT6.
You know, AXT6 doing a really good job, you know, taking out the entire team of UCLA. And Stanford's actually able to take that point. It looks like Stanford really is doing a much better job here on this map. Shimex getting in the back, trying to take out that Zenyatta. Looks like he's having a little bit of troubles just finding that last tick there, and there we go.
he was a little bit inefficient with his blink usage right there, using one or two too many, but he still was able to get the job done. Irrelevant though, because Raxa and Sireku are doing ridiculous amounts of damage on to Stanford.
And Stanford unfortunately let the backdoor point get taken from Lucio. Lucio's just gonna sit on the point and say, hey, this is my point now.
Juggernaut with a great pick there on Atlas. You should never really see Roadhogs able to kill Pharaohs on this map, but I guess that's possible if you are as good as UCLA's Juggernaut.
Yeah, and here we see Pip getting some pop shots there with those shurikens. Dragon Blade coming up there for Pip. It looks like UCLA is going to have about 3 ultimates here for this defense. And Atlas, whew,
getting a little low there from Raxa. He did a pretty good job. He retains his Unleash the Dragon ultimate. I think it's going to be used right now. Looks like it's coming out and hitting right in the middle of the team. Quarky dropping immediately. Shimix with a pulse bomb immediately takes out Raxa. Juggernaut, he gets 2 kills on Prodigal Son on AXD6. Atlas immediately counters by slaying Pip.
And here we see Shimix being taken out by Stanford as well. LT Sox doing a really, really good job there on Zenyatta, taking care of that Tracer. Juggernaut still alive, still doing so good. Headshots the Pharah. It looks like Moria is all left. She's going to be able to fade out, and they're going to be able to escape. Stanford's going to have to regroup on this one.
In spite of Stanford getting 2 or 3 picks right there, Juggernaut from UCLA was able to hold his ultimate on Roadhog. That is going to be such a key component to them retaining this point. He can knock people off into the dead zone. He can knock people off of the points. Stanford has to make something happen quick. We're moving up to 70% for UCLA.
And here we see Pip focusing down the Atlas as Pharah. Atlas is most likely going to have to switch off after that one. Here we see Sireku coming in with the Graviton Surge. Coalescence coming out from Stanford.
That's a completely incredible play right there from Sireku, nearly landing everyone in that Graviton Surge. Juggernaut landing amazing hooks on Prodigal Son, one after the other. He's messing up the backline. Raxa, at the exact same time, is able to clean up the opportunities that Juggernaut gives to him.
UCLA doing a brilliant job holding as defense, and it looks like they are going to be able to take this point and this map in general. UCLA doing a very, very good job at taking that point back.
100% to about 44,
21.
I think. 21. That's right. LT Sox, I think it's really difficult to get a play of the game on Zenyatta. It's one of my dreams to have that happen, but
see what he kind of manages to do here. Getting some pot shots off.
Oh,
it looks like
he's just a couple clean kills. He probably went on to kill that Tracer as well. It just didn't show it in the kill cam. Great work from Light Sox on Zenyatta. Definitely interesting to see him able to heal up his team. I also noticed that what they were doing on the second point during Night Garden is they just had the Zenyatta Harmony Orb on Raxa 100% of the time. They just gave it to Hanzo. It's like, okay, go on, do your thing. We'll let you just go win the game for us.
You'll live. You'll do what you need to do. Raxa's doing a great job. Hanzo, Widowmaker, not Tracer. McCree. Hanzo, Widowmaker, McCree. As I had mentioned before, he plays McCree, Widowmaker, and Hanzo, and that's all he's been playing, and he has been doing what he needs to do. He's been getting picks. He's been getting everything that he needs to do. Pip on that Genji, also doing a really good job.
He's definitely something to talk about. He did a fantastic job of messing up the backline for Stanford. He was able to dive in, isolate supports, separate the DPSs from their tanks, and really just make it impossible for Stanford to make any viable push happen onto any point in any situation. Pip is almost doing as good a job as Raxa is. I think Pip is giving Raxa the opportunities, and Raxa is capitalizing on them.
I really, really honestly think that that's something to be, to take note of, that Pip and Raxa, you don't see those two dying very much.
Yeah.
They do a very good job at staying alive. Their team keeps them alive. Their team knows that they need to live and that they need to be the ones to be getting those picks. But also, let's go ahead and focus on Shimix's Tracer.
Independently, I agree with you. The two of them are doing a great job of just being the best that they can be. Stanford is trying their hardest to try and damper those two from rampaging all over their composition, but it's not enough, and I think that really comes down to the tanks. Prodigal Son is doing as best as he can, but by himself, I don't think it's enough. He can't be the only one to land Earth Shocks. He can't be the only person to make opportunities and then have his team just kind of let nothing happen with it. Or it gets countered by UCLA.
Yeah, and AXD running that Reaper as well, but really not able to get as far into the backline as he needs to. He's not able to get where he needs to go. Stanford and also Stanford ran earlier on that May. you know, the Atlas as May was definitely not a pick that they really needed to have there at first. He wasn't able to really get as much picks off as he should have done, and you saw him switch off immediately. You know, it definitely hindered them.
Yeah, I agree. Reaper is one of those interesting characters that by himself he is absolutely viable. He does ridiculous amounts of damage, and he can sustain himself in team fights. He's one of the few characters that can do that, along with maybe Mercy, who has self-healing. But the thing is he has to be able to deal consistent damage. He doesn't have a very high health pool with only 250. If he's going to try and dive into a tank line or something like that, they've got to be isolated. You have to have the Reinhardt by himself, and then Reaper can go and pick him off. You have to have the Orisa by herself, and then Reaper can go and pick him off. I don't think that's going to work against such a well-coordinated team like UCLA. Their tanks are not going to let themselves get separated. They're going to stick together. They're going to play as a team, and that doesn't favor Reaper mechanics.
I really, really think that is a great point to hit on. UCLA has great coordination. Everything that they do is obviously coordinated, but it works. It flows. And everything, as they push through, you can see everybody communicating. You can see everybody doing what they need to do, getting the picks, looking for who they need to look for, and diving on who they need to dive on.
Independently, all the players from USC are great, great players. But simultaneously, their team coordination is what impresses me most. Individually, they can all do fantastic jobs, but when they come together, it is harmony. That's not to count out Stanford, though. They have great team synergy. They have great team compositions. I just think UCLA is a little bit more well-oiled heading into this matchup between the two of them. However, it is only the first week of play. We might see these two teams come up against each other in the future, and it might not be the same result now that Stanford knows just how viable Raxa is on his Widowmaker.
And here we see the map standings again. Kings Row, Stanford 1, UCLA 3.
Yeah, for Stanford to even be able to take the point that they did was a pretty good job for them. Temple of Anubis obviously was a minute-and-a-half clean sweep in favor of UCLA.
Yeah, and you know, and then there we saw Lijiang Tower actually really good contesting there as far as Stanford goes, but unfortunately Stanford's going to fall 0-2 to UCLA.
Yeah, fantastic work there on Lijiang. Dorado is going to be the next map, one of my all-time favorites. Not my favorite, but Dorado, I absolutely love it just because it's such a good map for Tracer, my girl.
Oh, it is a ton of fun for Tracer. It is also a ton of fun for Widowmaker as well. Here we're going to probably see Raxa run Widowmaker once more here on the
Raxa,
defense.
OU.
But this is definitely a map that we haven't seen this type of map played by these teams yet here today. It looks like it's going to be a full payload map. We saw the first match there in the first match that we had today, and this full payload is going to be really interesting. We're probably going to see a lot more Mercy because, like you said, those long walkbacks are it's a
pain.
It's a pain. You really need that res. If the one pick goes down, you need that Mercy res. So we'll have to see exactly what they decide to run here. And like I said, that Widowmaker is most likely going to be a very key option.
Yeah, with our matches that we saw earlier today, I think when we were on Dorado, both teams ran Widowmaker. She is such an important part to any type of composition on this map. The line of sight is almost uncontested for a vast majority of the map in most locations. Like Dorado is such a Widowmaker, excuse me, Widowmaker heavy map that I think Raxa is going to be popping off. We might see Shimex take it, we might not. It's going to be interesting to see what the compositions are. As you can see, high ground locations, places for Widowmaker to be.
Yeah, and you know, this map overview, here we see this big open area. This is something that really needs to be taken account for as far as Widowmakers go, because there is not enough places to hide for that Widowmaker to hide from that Widowmaker. I mean, that Widowmaker is going to get a lot of picks, and here we see right into the match here. We see UCLA running on the attack and Stanford on the defense.
Raxa taking that Widowmaker like we said she would, trying to get some great picks, getting a high ground shot right there, not able to do anything. Orisa shield, making sure that is what's going down.
As soon as that Orisa shield goes down, it looks like she was able to get a few shots there. Unfortunately, dropping a little bit low from the Zarya bombs. Moira jumping into the backline.
Looks like we're going to have a Genji from Pip diving into the backline of Stanford. Looks like he's going to be trying to put some punishment on the supports. However, Suriku is getting incredibly low. Some great action coming down here from Shimex, taking out Little Socks.
Oh, Shimex doing a really good job on this soldier. You know, great positioning from him, hiding from that Widowmaker. Make sure that the Widowmaker cannot get any shots on him, dealing a lot of damage to all the tanks and everybody from UCLA. Shimex doing a great job. And then...
Shimix putting some good damage on Raxa, stopping that push. However, Sureku dives on top of him. Pip as well, putting some hurt onto that Mercy.
And here we see that Mercy really just doing what she can, shooting her gun, and it looks like they're gonna let her get away. Oh,
there we go. Okay, that was a little bit prolonged. Looks like we have UCLA immediately capturing the first point on Dorado. A little bit of action still going down. Little Sox actually taking out Corky.
And it looks like they're staggering Stanford here really well. They took a long time to kill that Mercy, and then they killed her. Now she's staggered. Now the Moira here. Took a long time to kill her. Now she's staggered. She's got a long walk back.
Maybe they did that intentionally to make sure that the Mercy would be more isolated from her team. That's actually a really, really high level of play coming out here from UCLA. I'm impressed.
The staggering is definitely something that we'd like to see here. And look, here we see the info sight coming out from Raxa's Widowmaker.
Shemex does have that Tac Visor ultimate, but I would be scared to pop my head out knowing that Raxa's probably looking for me.
Shemex and Juggernaut.
Yeah, the Sureku and Juggernaut diving on top of there, really messing up Stanford's defense.
Yeah, and you know, Shimix is just being forced off the high ground. Juggernaut and Sureku making sure that Shimix cannot hold that high ground, making sure that Raxa can have that high ground instead. And it looks like, you know, Shimix's Tac Visor is not going to have very much to do. AXD looking for something. He's going to maybe look for that Genji, but no, he's going to come back down.
He should have detonated it right there. He missed his opportunity. Sureku with a huge Diva ultimate cleaned up by Pip and Raxa. Fantastic team play from UCLA. A nearly 100% clean sweep from Stanford. Interesting play from Stanford. I don't think I would have popped my Junkrat tire right there and then not take out the Genji. He had such a clean opportunity to do so.
You are right there too. And Shimix switching on to Widowmaker. Hopefully has an answer.
I think he still had his Soldier 76 ulti. He never used it.
And you know, I don't think he had a real good time to be able to use that Soldier 76 ulti. He couldn't get on the high ground, and he couldn't get that Diva out of mech, so he just felt probably a little bit useless.
Raxa doing a good job here, trying to take out the counter sniper in Ana, actually isolating that Zarya and taking her out right away. Raxa with a clean snipe on Prodigal Son, and Juggernaut takes out Atlas's Ana.
And yeah, here we see Raxa and Shimix having a little bit of a duel off here. Raxa holding the high ground really well, not really contested at all, and it looks like the payload is pushing.
Quarky, they can't even leave their spawn. Looks like Juggernaut's just popped there with his Primal Rage, punching him back into the door. A little bit of a poor show from Stanford. However, Graviton Surge coming out there from Prodigal Son, immediately countered by Sureku and Pip.
And it looks like Pip's going to be able to take out a lot of people in the backline, and it looks like they're going to have a full push on this payload with 4 minutes and 31 seconds remaining.
And a team kill from UCLA. Awesome job. You can tell that UCLA is in love with these payload maps. On King's Row, once they got that payload, it only took them like 45 seconds for them to cap it 100%. It was incredible to see. Payload maps definitely seem to be what their speciality is, Zader.
Yeah, and I think that's completely right. You know, these payload maps, they're able to get on that payload, and once they're on the payload, it's a non-stop push from there on out. They're able to send people forward. They're able to make sure that they can push back. The payload's not going to get contested. Raxa able to get picks, hold the high ground, and anybody else that's holding the high ground, as you know, we saw Shimix there on Soldier as the high ground, and then we saw Juggernaut and Sureku jumping on him immediately and making sure that he did not have that high ground hold.
Their compositions are looking really, really strong coming out here onto that first point. However, Stanford, they did as good a job as anyone could possibly do. They just made a couple questionable decisions, and I think that could be attributed to nerves or something like that. But once they get their team compositions really worked out and really have good synergy on when to use ults, when to hold ults, when to where to use them, then I think they're actually going to be able to stop UCLA. Maybe Raxa may not be able to do such a good job on offense on Widowmaker, so let's look to him on McCree.
Yeah, you know,
or Hanzo.
Or Hanzo.
Or Hanzo.
Let's see the Hanzo again. Once more with the Hanzo. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what they run on this defense exactly. Let's see whether or not they choose to go dive heavy or shield heavy. You know, there's like I said, there's a lot really that you can do with these new payload maps. I'm definitely going to see it's interesting to see that Stanford actually running a Bastion composition. Pirate ship time.
UCLA on Symmetra.
Symmetra, 14% already.
Symmetra.
Oh, and it looks like we've actually had a disconnect there from UCLA. We're most likely going to see a pause come out here.
Not quite sure. It looks like it was
or
Diva
it's
player.
going to be an unfortunate, unfair push because they're just going to be 5v6. So we're just going to see how UCLA decides to run that, and it looks like we're going to try to pause this match here in just a second.
Fortunately,
you know, UCLA and Stanford unfortunately not able to do much there, and hopefully we'll able to get we'll be able to get this figured out soon. Unfortunately, some technical issues. You know, but interesting to see what Stanford decided to do there. They ran a pirate ship competition. They ran Arista. They ran Reinhardt. You know, both of those people able to protect that that bastion perfectly. You know, protecting that bastion is key to this pirate ship composition.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It was interesting to see. By the way, we're probably just going to have to restart the game. It was a little bit of an unfair push. We're not sure if that's going to be the case. We will let you guys know. We will let you guys know, though. However, I do want to discuss the Symmetra pick from UCLA. She is one of the most underplayed characters in competitive Overwatch just because her mobility and her team fight potential is almost non-existent. However, I think if they're going to be running that Bastion shield heavy comp like you were saying that they were, I actually think it could work because Symmetra has her projection shield that she can shoot at a distance, and that does a great job of taking Pharah ultimates. You can use that to take McCree ultimates, Soldier 76 ultimates, a little less effectively, but still interesting to see Symmetra. I'm not sure if they're going to run her again or if they're going to continue with her or what the case is going to be with that.
And it'd definitely be interesting to see whether they choose a teleporter or a shield generator here. You know, that teleporter definitely does reduce that walk back, but, you know, at the same time, UCLA seems to be very confident in what they are doing, and you know, they possibly could just put a shield generator out because they know that, you know, they can hold, you know?
Yeah, if you're going to run the shield generator, you have to be confident in the fact that no one on your team is going to be caught out. No one on your team is going to be isolated. None of your team is going to be picked off. Because when you die and you have a shield generator up, not only are you losing the efficiency of being a character down, but you're going to lose the efficiency as now that person doesn't have the shields on them. Whereas if they could immediately teleport back into the fight, it's better to have the, for example, 600 armor on Diva when she teleports right back than to have the... How many shields is it?
75.
Yeah, 75 shields. So it's like, what would you prefer? 600 health on a Diva or 75 shields permanently on Diva? It depends on whether or not they are capable of killing her.
Yeah, and like I said, killing her is the problem. UCLA is very, very confident in what they can do, you know, and they have shown that they're confident in Raxa being able to do everything that he needs to do, being able to get picks, being able to flank, being able to do, I mean, phenomenal amounts of damage there. And we saw him playing McCree there on the defense just before, you know, we had that unfortunate disconnection. We saw him, you know, getting in that back line and not really dying, not really taking any punishment. You know, they're not doing anything about it.
I totally agree. I think they should just come up with the anti-Raxa comp. I think that's what's going to work best for Stanford moving in here. But I don't think they're going to be capable of doing it. I think if they ran... I think they would have to run a Widowmaker. Shimex would have to be on Widowmaker, and he would have to get a lucky pick on Raxa right at the start of the game, and then that would secure a point. Once they kill Raxa, they kill USC.
Yeah, and I really, really think that Widowmaker actually is a strong pick. You are definitely right on that one. Shimex has a great Widowmaker. Shimex knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's shown us
but
that.
Instead, they're running that Bastion, which is going to be really risky. You know, if they ran that Bastion and they ran a Widowmaker here there along the side, you know, if Shimex ran Widowmaker and then, you know, you saw, you know, maybe AXD on Bastion instead, Shimex would be able to take care of that McCree. Shimex would be able to take care of any opposition, a Pharah, or you know, maybe even a soldier, you know, anything that you'd see as far as countering a Bastion competition, even a Junkrat.
I agree with you, but I think Bastion may not be as irrelevant because oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. Bastion, yeah, when you get him on top of the payload, if you have shields to defend him, he can do a great job of isolating people off of the payload, especially when the opposing team takes the high ground like they were doing. Once you get on top of that high ground, it's difficult for them to jump down and stall the payload itself. They do that by killing people off and not letting them get onto the payload. If you're sitting on top of the payload with Bastion and a Reinhardt shield and an Orza shield in front of you with a Mercy damage booster, there's no way that they're going to get to that Bastion. So then that forces them, hey, we have to jump down off the top of here or they're going to go underneath this bridge and then we can't stop them.
That's
and then
correct.
that forces them to jump down and then Bastion can get kills.
Yeah, you must take care of it immediately. And, you know, as far as jumping down goes, you got to jump down right as that payload's pushing around that corner because you got to get right on top of that Bastion or the shields are going to be right in front of him. You know, you're going to see most likely a Junkrat get right on top of there and just spam pancake bombs or, you know, spam just his regular left click just right onto that Bastion, because that's what you have to do, because you have so limited time before Bastion's just going to turn around and kill you.
Exactly, and Pip was running the Junkrat. It's going to be great to have him see, like, oh, you want to run Bastion? Here, have some Bisquick.
Right. And
pancake bomb on top of the payload. You can't put a shield against that because he can arc it right over the top when he has that high ground advantage. Fantastic pick from Pip on there on Junkrat. I think it's going to be mostly him that hinges the defense for UCLA, not necessarily Raxa, who was playing McCree. McCree's stun grenades, they're good at stalling it, but they aren't effective because you can very easily block them with Reinhardt shields if you have good angling.
right, and you got to aim that Reinhardt shield just a little bit up so he can't lob it over. But then again, if you're angling it up, he'll flash your feet.
Exactly.
So it just depends on what you think that McCree is doing, and Rax is going to have some really, really good response time to figure out where exactly he wants to throw that flashbang if he wants to take that Reinhardt shield down there for that 1 second.
It's kind of some cat and mouse thing that you see going out. Like, you'll have the McCree and the Reinhardt, they'll come up to each other and they're like, okay, I know you've got stun grenade. Where are you going to throw it? Are you going to throw it up? And then he'll, like, either prediction go up and he'll wait for it, and then he'll throw the stun grenade down. And so that sometimes you'll just have them sitting there just kind of awkwardly staring at each other for a little bit because neither of them is able to do anything. It's an interesting interaction because for those of you who may not know, if McCree shoots his pulse grenade straight up, it'll actually hit the top of Reinhardt's shield, and then that technically counts as in Reinhardt's field of vision, and so it will stun the Reinhardt even though you threw it at the top of the shield.
Same thing with when you're trying to flash a Genji as well.
Yep.
You know, if Genji is reflecting, if you throw it a little bit farther away from him, either above or at his feet, he actually can't reflect that stun grenade, and you'll actually flash him through the reflect.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see how Raxa's McCree is going to come through. However, we have just gotten news that we are going to be able to jump back into the game. The game's not going to be restarted. They felt that the payload wasn't pushed too far or something that they couldn't come back from. So it looks like UCLA is going to be good sports and just let them keep it at where they had it. It was Sireku for UCLA that DC'd. He was on Diva at the time, I believe.
I believe that is correct, and we'll just have to see exactly what Sireku decides to pick here. It looks like he's going to go on Roadhog. It looks like they're going to go ahead and continue with that payload. A little bit just close to that first checkpoint. It looks like they're going to be able to get that. Raxa still in the back line. Honestly, we see actually a teleporter. They're right at the spawn. It looks like they're able to get that first checkpoint, though. Really interesting to see. You know, saying put that teleporter there. And
questionable placement on it. Absolutely. There we saw Raxa missing his stun grenade. However, Pip is going absolutely massacring the backline of Stanford. Corky going down, Shimex going down, Alex going down, AXD6 falling as well. Raxa, Juggernaut, and Pip are not taking any prisoners this game. UCLA unstoppable.
Oh, you know, don't mind me. I thought they got that first checkpoint. They defended it. UCLA got back to that checkpoint so quickly. I swore it was right on it.
Goodness.
That's absolutely insane. You know,
Close.
UCLA doing such a good job. Still on that Symmetra.
Within 3 meters, Symmetra, Raxa, double kill with the headshot, and another one on Corky, triple kill for Raxa, and he immediately gets clubbed down by Prodigal Son. Prodigal Son having none of Raxa in the backline.
And it looks like Ace of Base is going to have to back off just quite a little bit and see what he can do. UCLA, this defense is phenomenal. They defended that first checkpoint. They defended the Bastion composition. Looks like they had to switch off immediately. Now we see Shimex on Widowmaker. Like I had said, he needed to get those key picks.
Other than that one teleporter, I don't think I've seen Sang do necessarily anything on Symmetra. He's just kind of around. Maybe the laser cannons are doing some work and we're just not able to see it. However, Pip is on the payload with his ultimate. Stanford's not going to be able to push into Pip with a Junkrat tire. It's not happening today.
You see Pep, you know, really just spamming that corridor there, making sure that nobody can really get on that high ground. Looks like actually Stanford is going to push over to the right a little bit, and Shimex in the back lane, getting 2 picks. Absolutely huge.
Prodigal Son with the Earth Shatter, taking 3 people out.
Juggernaut.
Oh yeah, Juggernaut rather. Excuse me, Juggernaut taking 3 people out with that Earth Shatter. Phenomenal counterplay from UCLA with their tanks, and Raxa was able to clean up and capitalize on the opportunity that was given to him by Juggernaut. Outstanding counterplay by UCLA. However, we see Stanford on Shimex. That was the Widowmaker play that we said that they should have been taking from second 1, Zader.
And, you know, and as soon as he switched over, he was able to get in the back lane. He got 2 massive picks, but unfortunately Juggernaut was able to get a very, very key Earth Shatter there, and here we're going to see they're going to try to push that payload there. Looks like it's already backed up to that bridge.
Shimex headshotting Raxa. good shot from Shimix. Let's see if they can capitalize on the best DPS player on the UCL team going down.
And it looks like UCLA is going to vouch for that teleporter. It looks like Raxa is able to get back. Oh, immediately, but unfortunately Shimix says, Raxa, no, you're not allowed to do that.
Sireku countering her on the right side with a Junkrat hook. Pip immediately pancake bombing Shimix into oblivion. Valkyrie being popped here from Atlas on Stanford.
And here we see 10 seconds go. It looks like we're going to have to be going into overtime here for Stanford's push. All the ultimates coming out. AXD popping the tactical visor. Not really able to find anything because Juggernaut's shield was just right up there in his face. And let's see what they're going to be able to do. It looks like that teleporter still has 1 or 2 charges left.
1 second left into overtime. However, Pip's Junkrat bomb is coming right here. Starting the push from Stanford. They have got to get on the point right now. And it's not enough with the Diva bomb. A couple seconds too late.
UCLA is going to take the last and final map that we have here today, going 4-0 in this show match. UCLA, absolutely amazing show match. Raxa giving us all the entertainment that we needed with all the flanks, everything that he needed to do.
And that high noon, immediate triple kill. Prodigal Son, however, slaps him in the face with the hammer. Good job.
Prodigal Son telling Raxa, great play, but here's a hammer.
Here's a hammer.
You know, phenomenal performance from both teams.
I agree.
I think Stanford, for being against a team like UCLA, did a very, very good job. UCLA's Raxa is absolutely amazing. I have no complaints about him, but also Shimix, you know, saying that, you know, Raxa, good. I have an answer for you, and Shimix did that towards the end of the game. He took out Raxa twice.
Stanford, absolutely, I agree with you. They did a good job of trying to make themselves relevant against UCLA. UCLA comes out on these games so strong. Their front lines, their back lines, their coordination, it must be incredibly intimidating for a team like Stanford to go up against. However, I think they did a good job. Shimix was able to get flawless pick after pick after pick on that Widowmaker at the very end there on Dorado. Prodigal Son, absolutely impressive hammer down earth shatter plays that we saw going into the fights right there. He landed, I think, 2 or 3 different 5 or 6 man ultimates on Reinhardt. That is no easy feat to do, I can tell you that much.
You know, definitely as a Reinhardt player here myself, sometimes I don't find those earth shatters just as easy as Prodigal Son was making them, but man, he was making those earth shatters look really easy. And also so was Juggernaut, both of them very skilled Reinhardt players, honestly, looking for those earth shatters and making sure that they had the correct earth shatters coming out. And, you know, absolutely phenomenal Reinhardt plays, absolutely phenomenal Widowmaker plays. Saying on the May, absolutely phenomenal May plays. You know, we saw so much in this show match today. You know, we don't know what we're going to be able to see here in these up-and-coming games. It's definitely going to be a very exciting few weeks here for this spring season of PACG.
I am so much looking forward to looking at these teams compete individually in their own brackets, as this was just a show match like we mentioned before. I think watching Shimix and Raxa go at it was almost as entertaining as watching Prodigal Son and Juggernaut go back and forth with their Roadhogs, with their Reinhardts. Both of those 2 players, phenomenal. Raxa and Shimix, hats off to you guys. The Lucio ulti on Temple of Anubis, I think that's my play of the game.
Yeah, I think
play of the day.
Play of the day. Yeah, that Lucio was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the timing on it was I'd almost say perfect. He didn't get caught by the shatter, and then he didn't get caught by the Reaper ultimate, which let him get that ultimate down. He had perfect positioning, and that's very hard to do as Lucio. You're very slidey, you're very fast, and you know it's difficult to do.
The positioning on Lucio, you would think it's kind of not relevant because Lucio, he can only heal in such a tiny little radius around himself, so he has to be near his tanks, he has to be near his DPS, he has to be with the team. If you land an Earth Shatter, if you land a Graviton Surge, I'd say 9.9 times out of 10, Lucio's going to be in the Earth Shatter. Lucio's going to be in the Graviton Surge. Phenomenal foresight from UCLA's Lucio player to decide, hey, they might have their ultimates. I'm going to back off a little bit and try and support from the backline. And then once that Earth Shatter landed and Reaper used his ultimate, his Death Blossom, he was right there. Dropped the sound bomb. Sound barrier.
I wish it was a sound bomb.
That would be cool.
That would be great.
Anyway, no one died. So I think that is why Lucio, in my mind, is definitely, that was the MVP play of the day. However, Raxa, player of the game.
You know, I definitely agree with you. Raxa did have a great play there. And here we're going to see an overview of all the maps. Do you want to go ahead and hit that first?
Of course, Zader. A quick recap for Kings Row. We saw Stanford actually able to cap their push through. Not as clean as UCLA was able to do. However, UCLA was able to counter in overtime with the clean 3-1 take. Temple of Anubis, UCLA took it in under a minute and a half. Stanford incapable of capping the first point. Lijiang Tower 2-0. One of the matches was 100% to 0, and the other was 100% to 21%, I believe. Dorado, UCLA once again taking the matchup 3-0 against Stanford with a clean push that was nigh unstoppable. Stanford, however, did their best to make it. They just fell a little bit short.
I definitely agree with you there. Unfortunately, the clean sweep there with UCLA, and we'll just have to see exactly what they're going to be able to do in their actual match here that we'll see here in a few weeks.
I agree with you so much, Zader, and a shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for being here with us today and watching some fantastic Overwatch games between Stanford and UCLA and Colorado and Oregon University, to both of them. Thank you guys so much for tuning into our PACG Overwatch broadcast. We appreciate the support so much and trying to get this initiative off of the ground of the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers. I have been Seth White Ninja, joined here with
Xander or Zader. And, again, like he said, thank you guys so much for watching, tuning in to this stream today. And we will see you guys tomorrow with, I believe, Hearthstone.